confidence. It is that elusive quality everyone craves, yet so many can't find enough of. Is it the swagger in your step, the firmness in your handshake, that perfect pose on a selfie? Or is it something deeper? Today, we are peeling back the layers to reveal the true essence of confidence and how embracing your authentic self can transform not just your relationships, but in your entire life. Welcome to Relationship Evolutions, Bridging the Divide. I am your host, Kelly Algram, founder of Evolutions and your guide on this journey to deeper connections and self-discovery. If you've ever felt like you're wearing a mask, pretending to be somebody that you're not just to fit in or be liked, this episode is for you. Let's dive into the real meaning of confidence and how it intertwines with our masculine and feminine energies so that you can become alluring and magnetic even deeper. You know, people will say, just fake it till you make it. But what does that mean? Because there's an idea inside of that that is good, but there's also an idea in that that really isn't helpful. It's teaching people to fake it because they think if they fake it, then they will make it. And what's actually the important piece of that is the until you make it part. That's the gold. But the fake part, kick that shit to the curb and trade that for some genuine, curious growth mindset modesty instead. Because real confidence isn't about faking it, it's about earning it. It's actually about becoming capable of trusting yourself because you've put in the reps of learning that particular subject matter. You don't feel confident in what you haven't practiced. Confidence comes from competence. It's the byproduct of being competent in something. What does that mean? What we are talking about specifically in relationships here is you've heard me say relationships are skill sets. So if you don't practice the skill sets, you can't master the relationship. And so you're just faking and you're just plunking around and you're doing the best that you can. Yes, but what is the quality of the work that you're doing? So if you don't practice the skills and master them more and more and more as time goes on, of course you're not going to feel like you know what you're doing. You're going to feel lost. You're going to feel confused, maybe scared and fearful. And those states, when you're inside of a relationship, they sabotage you and they sabotage your partner. So we can't get away from confusion. We can't get away from being scared and fearful, you know, but what can we do here? Because those these things can be very scary, but the more grounded that you feel in your skill sets, the less those kind of states will take over and actually you act out of them. You could feel them, but you learn how to process them very quickly and make adaptations away from them. Because if you become more well-rounded, you trade anxiety into stillness, the fear of the unknown into opportunities. If you want confidence, you need competence. You need proof to yourself that you can handle the challenges because you've practiced them. You've regulated your emotions. You've gone through this. You stand firm in who you are. And yes, when I say practice them, that legitimately does mean going through those challenges. That doesn't mean practicing challenges. It means actually, oh my God, I'm in the shit, right? That is a practice. You are doing the thing. Okay, it's the mindset that you carry within that and facing them that matters. And even more so afterwards, how you actually learned from it. Did you adapt? Did you see the variables? There's the 4 A's that I talk about when it comes to trying to get competent. And I'm going to go into some qualities that we're going to be looking at as far as what confident people look like. But one of the things that I want to hit you with first here is we have to have some kind of a system to be competent, right? How do we just break this down? And I've always looked at things in a equation or let me break it down into pieces. When I break it down into pieces, I can understand it better. And if I understand it better, now I can take responsibility for pieces that I can handle. Because I don't want to be overwhelmed, like I have to know all of the things all of the time. No, let's just piece it together. So let's do that. When we are trying to master anything, a good model that you could potentially use is the 4 A's that I use. First, we have to have awareness. Awareness is actually one of the hardest things for a lot of people, and so they can't even do any of this without the first thing is the awareness. The awareness is admitting that your skill set sucks. Let's just cut to the chase. Like the awareness is partially that is I am not good at this thing. And your mindset in that has to just be that. It has to be like, well, this is true. I kind of do suck at this. But you're not saying that in a way that is beating up your insecurities and beating up the little human inside of you. It's just a fact. This is one of the variables of the awareness. The other piece of the awareness is what are the other variables? Who's involved? What's the circumstance? Let me make sure I'm looking at the whole thing. This is situational awareness. What's all involved? It's making sure that you're looking at all of the components within the situation, right? The awareness. But you also have to recognize most people don't want to use the first piece that I said and recognize that their skill set here might need some leveling up because it's really easy to look at the other variables. So I'm going to look outside of myself first and blame all the external stuff. Okay. This is where a lot of people go wrong with the awareness piece. We want to make sure that we're recognizing that we are always responsible. And so your awareness of yourself comes first. So, what's your level of competence in this thing? If it sucks and you're like, I have no idea. Cool, man. That's awesome. You are in a very beautiful space to learn and learn really quickly once you admit that you don't know. Okay. But don't do it from a place of sadness and I'm not a good human and I'll never be good enough. If you're in that, you're acting out of that insecurity instead of a growth mindset and possibility and opportunity and let me learn the thing. I want to master this. Let's go. That awareness is important. The second one is analysis. So now that we have looked at, okay, these are all the components, these are all the balls I got to juggle. How do I actually do that? What is the technique? What are the things I need to do? We're analyzing the scenario. What were the good things that happened? What were the things that needed the upgrades? Make sure you're recognizing, you're analyzing what went wrong in the past thing or what went right. All of that stuff needs to be also looked at. The third thing is adaptation. So you approached this situation, you approached it and you did the thing in a way. Now that you have awareness and you've analyzed it, you now have to adapt your next approach. If you're going to practice something, you have to repeat the thing. If you're going to be learning a backflip, you have to change if you landed on your face, that's going to be different than when you landed on your ass, isn't it? So what did you have to adapt to change, even though you landed on your face or your ass? Those are different things that you landed on. You have to analyze that and then adapt so that you don't land on those and you land on your feet, right? And so what we want to do is we need to recognize those components and we need to adapt our approach. So now we have to choose to do a new thing. And this is the other place where people get stuck is because taking new action is like humans are, I don't want to say allergic to taking new action, but we are very patterned people. Love our patterns. We really do. We love them and we like to stick in them. And they are so ubiquitous. This is the brain using the heuristics of life. Heuristics means it's your brain's shortcut method to, I don't need to put resources into that. I know it, I've mastered it. Just this is the flip of the switch. Your brain has a very cool mechanism of, I have so much to process all of the time at any given second. I need a lot of shortcuts. And so heuristically, what they do is it just gives you these patterns that subconsciously you just do the thing. You don't even think about it, right? You've experienced this. I know you have. This is an actual nerdy thing I get to teach you is that your brain has a shortcut and it's there for a reason. That it has a lot to do and it can't think about everything all of the time. So it has muscle memory. So the heuristics is the muscle memory. The patterns are your muscle memory. If you want to do something new and adapt to something new, you have to take new action to get that muscle bigger. And of course, when you take new action, what happens? It gets sore. It's uncomfortable, right? You lifted weights in a different way, and your muscles were like, "Hello, that hurts." And that's why people avoid it because it's uncomfortable. And so this taking adaptation is a lot of where our pesky humanity is like, "Nah, I don't wanna. No thanks. I don't want to do that." But if you want confidence, this is what I tell my clients, what do you actually want? When we get into these pinch points of, okay, I have to do the thing, but I don't want to do the thing. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. It hurts, Kelly. Stop it. I don't want to. Okay. That's fine. You don't have to. Like, if you don't want to, I'm not gonna force you to do anything. It's not my business. If this is what you want, cool. If not, that's cool too. It's nothing on me. But what do you want? Do you want that? Do you want that outcome? Do you want that confidence? Do you want to feel magnetic and alluring? Mm, you might want to roll that around. You might have to like figure out how you're going to do the thing. The fourth A is taking the action. So once you've gotten through the stuff, I'm going to take the new action and get uncomfortable and do this new thing. I have to actually take action on it. I can't just think about it. I can't just talk about it. I can't just, journal about it. I actually have to do the thing. And so then you do those four things. You have the awareness. You then analyze it, you then take adaptations to it, and then you take action on it. If you just use these four things, you can master anything if you just keep doing this process over and over and over. It's like the scientific method, basically. I'm doing experimentations. If you look at your life as a giant experiment, which is I will say something that I do. It's amazing like how much I experiment with my own behavior. I'm like, I wonder if I poke her like this, what she'll do. That sounds like super weird, but I mean, our emotional capacity is so crazy. And whenever I have my own theories about how I'm going to react to something, and I'm wrong all the time. And so I'm always aware of like, okay, why did I do that? So having that fun and game of how am I going to come through these challenges is a really healthy thing. And so if we want competence, that's what it comes from. So now let's transition and pivot here a bit. Now that we know we have a system to actually apply. Now that we have the system, the last thing I want to kind of cover with you guys is what makes someone magnetic. We have to know, again, we have to have the knowledge. We have to have knowledge and we have to have wisdom. So let me get into that really quick before we jump into this, because so many people just talk the talk and they don't walk the walk. And we have to have two components to wisdom of knowing, of confidence, of competence. There's more than just taking action. We have to have the knowledge as well. But we can't just have the knowledge because real confidence is not faking it. If you want that full confidence, you have to know and you have to get that wisdom. So what's the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Both play a crucial role in feeling confident. One is knowing the important things that are inside of the skill set as well as the outcome. Like you got to know what you're working with. And by the way, that you're going to clunk around on that because you're like, oh shit, I didn't know what I didn't know. That's going to happen. And so it's not about like, I have to have all the knowledge right now. Don't get in that trap because that is you doing the Dunning-Kruger effect. Go look that up. It is such a cool. Once I learned the Dunning-Kruger effect, I apply it to my life, and I'm like, okay, Kel, are you in this the peak of Mount Stupid here, and you think you know everything, but actually you're all just talk because you haven't done the thing. That's the peak of Mount Stupid. That's your ego of like, I can do it. Like you look at this thing, and I've done this. Like I remember talking to my friend even recently. They were telling me about something, and I'm like, psh, that doesn't sound that hard. I could totally do that. That's me on Mount Peak of Mount Stupid right there. Like, all right, dummy, let's put that to the test. Let's put you in the scenario and see what happens. Right? We think we know, and then we're like, I got the skills, I could do that. But it's new, and you're like, so the confidence is there, but the wisdom of the knowledge of the knowing of, yeah, but you don't know what you're about to get into. That's the knowledge piece, right? And so you gain the knowledge by actually trying to take the step and making the fail. And you're like, oh shit, I did not know that that was going to happen. Well, of course you didn't know because you hadn't approached it yet. So knowing is one of the most important things within this skill set. Okay, so you actually have to fail to get more knowledge. And that's really uncomfortable for people, that they don't want to fail. And so they don't even get the information. They don't want to even go through that to get that new knowledge. The second thing is gaining the wisdom to own that information and taking action. And so it's like, okay, I did the thing and I was like, yeah, I can do this. And then I fail at it. And if then I'm going to fail at it, and then I'm going to go through those four A's. Here's the system in play, right? And then to gain the wisdom, I'm going to have to do it again with the new model that I just adapted and taking action on. Now the new model, I'm like, all right, I'm going to try this again. I'm going to come at it again. Did I gain enough knowledge to do better at this? Did I really excel? I am a pattern watcher, and so I don't want to take ten tries to get something down. I try really hard to gain as much knowledge from that first fail as I can because I don't like to have that uncomfortable feeling of like, I don't know how to do this thing. And so I actually try to learn very fast to like shortcut my discomfort. I'm still going to go through the discomfort and I don't mind being uncomfortable. It shows me that I'm in a great place to learn and it's fun for me. And I might make me a little sick, but discomfort's not I have a completely different relationship with pain and discomfort because I understand if I actually care about it, there's going to be some really cool stuff on the end of this whenever I figure it out. That is my mindset with anything. And so we have to actually, to gain that wisdom, we have to take new action and then see what that result was. Then at the end of that, we've gained knowledge and wisdom, both. And so we gotten more competent in that thing. Does that mean we're fully competent? Probably not. But we are more competent than we were 2 times ago, right? So then you just rinse and repeat, right? So we have this system in play. So let's just take a quick example. So if you're a woman that wants to attract a man, for instance, the knowledge piece of this system, it'd be what do men find attractive? Let's just look at that. And so a woman that might think she knows is going to be like, if your knowledge stops on that first step of what men find attractive is, well, what does that word attractive mean? Oh, that means look and aesthetics matter. So I need to own my look. I need to look confident. I'm going to put that mask on and fake it till I make it. They're not actually thinking that, by the way, but I'm just kind of facetiously saying this because I have done this. So I'm kind of picking on myself here. So before I learned the thing, men actually, what men find attractive is not just look and aesthetics. And so what's going to happen is a woman under that system is going to be like, okay, I'm going to go do this thing. I'm going to have the look and I'm having the aesthetics, and then I'm going to go try to attract a man. And very quickly, she's going to learn that what she's actually wanting out of that system is not to attract the thing that she's attracting something that is not what she actually wants. And so she's going to recognize that very quickly. Either she won't attract anyone, running just the aesthetics and the right look. She's not either going to attract anyone, or she's not going to attract the thing that she's actually desiring, which is probably a leveled up version of something that, if we're just chasing looks, you're going to attract a certain type of person. And she's going to be like, well, that's not the outcome I wanted. I don't want to just be a piece of ass to somebody. I'm not just here for my body to be, used. So that's where she will stop potentially and be like, I'm just gonna not take care of myself, let myself go, not track because I don't want because I didn't use the system, I didn't learn, I didn't adapt my approach. So then I have to come back to the question again. What do men find attractive? Let's just say we didn't do that and we actually continue to work the system. Well, I crashed and burned on the first one, and all I got was I felt like I was being used, and he didn't actually care about me as a person, and he was just after, lusty things, and I don't want to just be something that gets humped, right? Like that, none of us want that. We want more than just that. And so that makes a woman feel very uncomfortable. And so in that discomfort, we get to be like, okay, what is it that I want again? Here, I'm having a lot of discomfort here. I have to actually learn what do men find attractive. Well, guess what? You have to go find new knowledge. You have to start actually getting that experience there. So finding and getting that analysis, we're in that analysis piece again, right? So then once we get more analysis, we get more data and we go through the things that actually we actually know what men find attractive, which I'm going to tell you soon. So I know this is going to be a long episode. I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun here. So, once we actually know what men find attractive, because I don't want to just leave you on that hook, because that's not fun. That's not fair. But I'm gonna let you sit in it for just a minute. Now we have to adapt our approach. So we have to build. It's not that the looks and the aesthetics don't matter because they do. They do matter, but the type of look matters again. So you're gonna like have to finesse that at some point, but we'll just fast forward that. But so we'll need that piece and the other piece of knowledge that she gained. Like this is the other thing that men find attractive and magnetic. So then we're gonna have A and B and we're gonna put those together and voila, we have equals C equals confidence. Now we're confident because I have deeper wisdom on what men find attractive. So now I'm going to do both of those things. I'm going to master both of those things. And then she'll go along this and hey, that system didn't work again at some point with my partner. And so what happened? Well, I don't know. What do men find attractive again? Oh, right. They're actually more complex than we give them credit for. So let me ask this question to myself again. What do men find attractive? What else do I need to be paying attention to here? Let's repeat the thing again. Let's get that deeper knowledge. And then take the same example for men and, what do women find attractive, right? So if you don't take the action, you can't test out the new knowledge and you cannot get that wisdom. Okay. So are you a big theorist, a big talker, where you're just doing a lot of talking, but you're not doing a lot of, you're too little insecure and unsure of that discomfort to take the actual action, right? You may not have much actual wisdom on the subject matter. And wisdom is the confidence, and the confidence is what's alluring and sexy. So there's your equation for you to have and apply to your life and anything that you want to do. Report back. I would love to know. You do not feel confident in what you haven't practiced. Not really. And you'll get that whenever you get to the Dunning-Kruger effect. You can feel confident and you're like, I got this. I'm gonna snap. And maybe you do. Maybe it's still gonna be a different experience than what you thought, but you recognize you haven't practiced the thing. That is a false ego of you thinking that you know, but you don't know. Okay, you can talk a big game and you can fool some people, but if you want real confidence in relationships and magnetize that partner in communication, in attraction, in engaging conversations, in being able to support them, you need competence. You need proof to yourself that you can handle the challenges, you can regulate your emotions, you can stand firm in who you are while practicing emotional intelligence at the same time, because it's something that you have built. Confidence becomes the byproduct. Okay. So now let's switch this up a little bit and let's talk about what the confident individual actually looks like. So I happen to find myself a little bit something of a scientist, and maybe I'm not like the greatest scientist out there, which I know I'm not, but I like to run my own little experiments, and a handful of you probably listening have been a part of my experiments. You have been in my interviews, you've taken my polls, so you know that I ask questions and I just sit back and I listen, and I want to know what you think about these things. And I will never stop doing that, by the way, because people are fascinating and I can always learn something. And so I get to take what they tell me and I get to teach everyone else. This is what the masses feel, right? Because it's one thing for me to just think something, but I had to take myself out of the experiment. I might know what I think I know, but until I get what I analyze and I'm aware, I have to go through the whole thing again. I need awareness. I can't just think that I know all of these things. Me, myself, I'm not bringing you these things without me also going through this whole process of what makes a confident individual and magnetic. Well, I'm going to say, this is my opinion, this, and this. Okay, that's useful in no way, shape, or form if I don't have actual awareness. The way I get awareness, I run my experiments, right? I interview people, and I'm sure that there's a handful of you that are listening to this. You're like, yep, she's interviewed me. I've been in the hot seat. I've taken those polls. And so that's my awareness. And now I have to analyze the data, right? So I've analyzed the data, and now I get to take a look at what is actually here. And here's what I have found. And then you get to take this information and adapt and take action. So I'm going to do the front piece for you for just a little bit, and then you're going to have to do the back end of this and make your adaptations to yourself and your life, and then take new action so that you can complete this equation. Okay. So we're going to talk about women first. And before I get into this, I will say this is going to be triggering. Warning. Okay. One of the biggest things about coaching is it's uncomfortable. And it's my responsibility to teach you what is here. And then your responsibility is to what you're going to do with the information. Don't kill the messenger. If you're going to continue to listen to this episode, have an open mindset and just be like, take a deep breath and be like, all right, every time something I hear might trigger me, it's even in the one, the confident list versus the insecure list, you might be triggered in both of those because you're like, I have to do all those things to feel confident. Mm, yeah, maybe not all of them, but if you want to feel more confident, you got to put in the reps. So this might be a very triggering rest of this episode, but I hope it really helps your life. Okay. So, this is not here to beat up on anybody. It is here to just say what it was. So, in my polls, I asked, we're going to start with the women's list we're going to do the insecurity list for both sides. So, an insecure person that's not confident, that's faking it till they make it. The people that are trying to put on the mask and trying to make people look like they got this, but they don't even have it themselves. And so that they're the energy with which you bring your uncertainty, it leaks out into the world and the world sees it. And you think you're fooling everyone, but you're not. And so the opposite sex, they feel this energy and they notice traits. That's what I'm going to talk about is the traits that the opposite sex detects in you when you are insecure. And when you're insecure, it repels them. It's like, that is more of a weaker individual. That is not a strong partner. That's not something I want. We want strong people. And strong people is not just strength of muscle, it's strength of mind, it's strength of heart. It's people that have resiliency and true character and integrity. And so these characteristics are going to talk to our biologics in our system, in our subconscious brain. They're going to pick up these commonalities of insecure people, and you may not actually put your brain on it, but you subconsciously are going to feel icky around people or repelled by people, right? Like something's a little off here, and I don't really want to be near you. Your brain's not telling you, oh, it's this, and this, unless you really study this stuff. Then you'll be like, oh yeah, it's all of these things. And for most people, it's just going to be a feeling of repelling. I need to get away from this person. That's what it's going to look like. So if you're feeling repelled by somebody, it may be other things, but it could be this list. So when I talk to men and I ask men, what does an insecure woman look like that kind of repels your attention, that you don't really want to be around? And so this is the list. And by the way, we're going to also go into the confidence side, but we're going to do the insecure ones first. So here's the list. Women that are riddled with self-doubt in their capabilities. What that showcases is that she hasn't done any practicing. She doesn't know, she's not trustworthy. We can't count on her. And she's also, she doesn't know how to just be still and how to be confident in whatever she's putting her hands on. And so there's a lot of overthinking that's in there, which is another of the listing on the list is overthinking, excessive and analysis of situations, right? That leads to indecision and anxiety. So I wanted to add that in there because I literally just told you need to analyze these things. But again, if you're overthinking it and you're just stuck in the analysis paralysis, that leads to indecision and anxiety because you're like, I don't know which one to do. I don't know what you want to do. I don't. Nope. You have to actually adapt and take action. That is not going to give you self-doubt. That's going to give you confidence. And so if you are riddled with that self-doubt and overthinking, that is repelling according to men. Okay. Another thing, it's not being politeness that you detect, it's the over apologizing. A woman that is over apologizing actually came up from men, that this is something that is a kind of repelling kind of feeling. It's not comfortable. It doesn't necessarily mean repelling is a strong word. I understand. Just kind of take some translations around this. It's not sexy. If you're over apologizing when it's super unnecessary, it's showing a lack of self-assurance. Like, I'm not sure of myself. And that assurance, again, it's like, okay, here's the domino effect. If I'm not sure of myself, what does that mean? Oh, that means that she doesn't have any maybe self-value or self-worth, and she's just always um, feeling unsafe, and there's an anxiety about this. Okay. And so that over apologizing can really, really be a signal of that. The constant need for validation was also on the list. So seeking continual reassurance from anyone. We're always checking in constantly to see if she's right. Wanting to both not make a wrong decision, so she's stuck in that indecision, and she's wanting to feel valued, and so she's like trying to bait people to like give her validation all the time. Positions like basically like I'm a good person, I'm a good woman, I'm a good girl, whatever the thing is, like I'm good. I'm seeking that validation. It's like a drug hit. And so it's like I need this constant reassurance for others to sign off, and she's getting that validation hit, okay, that she's valuable. And so what she's done is she has taken her value and externalized it. So everyone else is like, I know I'm only valuable if this person checks off that I did good. So I need constantly seek reassurance. And whenever they reassure me, I'm going to get that validation. And then it's going to be this circle. I'm going to be stuck in this loop of, yep, that means I'm valuable, but I can only be valuable if people are happy with me and they're saying that I'm doing a good thing. One of the reasons why this is super repelling is because this is not a partner for a man. This is a project. This is a, I have to parent this woman. I don't want to parent this woman. I want her to be my partner, which means she can make her own choices. She's confident in what she's doing. Is she going to make mistakes? Yeah, but she doesn't have to be perfect. I don't care about that. But she's confident and calm in herself. She's not always seeking reassurance all of the time. That is you putting, this is the trap of codependency. And so that constant need for validation and seeking reassurance is you are Swiss cheese, the holes that are in the Swiss cheese, you want him to fill those so that you feel like a whole person. And that is codependency. Okay. Also on the list was jealousy and comparison. All right. Also on the list was difficulty accepting compliments, which I love that this was on the list because guys want to give women stuff. They want to tell them that they're beautiful. They want to tell them that they're amazing, that they have these things. And so women get super weird about being complimented and they don't receive those compliments. And it's like, oh man, thank you. I mean, so that's so cool. If you receive the compliment, that means that you're accepting of him. And if you completely deflect or downplay that praise, you are shooting yourself in the foot. If you want to attract him, receive what the man is giving you, right? Receive it. Take the toothpick. That's an internal joke for the people that was for you. There's only a handful of people that are going to get that. But unable to internalize positive feedback. So if you can't do that, if you can't internalize it, he gave me this because I I know that that was a gift that he gave me, and I'm going to bask in that and like, oh, that was so cool. That is what is they're looking for. So when you reject that immediately, you don't receive it. It's a rejection of him. And so if you're not accepting the things that he wants to give you, that's repelling. Men want to give and dote and be a hero to women and these things. And when women are so insecure and overthinking in their own existence, she can't open herself up to receive things. And that being receptive is one of the feminine things that men really are drawn to. And with women is that they're receptive. They're receptive to what he's giving. Okay, perfectionism came up as one of the repelling things. So, setting unattainable standards for herself is always leading to her being dissatisfied, and it's never good enough. And there's always this, we always have to make these tweaks. And, it's just like it goes all into that overthinking kind of thing. People pleasing was also on the list. So, prioritizing other needs, others' needs at her own expense, at the expense of her own well-being, and severely neglected needs. Like she's last in the soup line all the time, and no one ever gives her soup. Like she's gonna just make sure everyone else is fed all the time. And then what she's doing, the people pleasing thing, is one of the biggest things of insecurity that's very common that people know about. They're avoiding disagreements at all costs. We don't want to have conflict. We don't want disagreements because that could lead to me feeling rejected and criticized. And I can't handle that if they're mad at me. And so, or if I perceive that they're mad at me. And so I'm going to be doing this people pleasing thing instead and just keep the peace, keep the peace, keep the peace, keep the peace. No conflict, no conflict, no conflict. That is actually something that over time it's not you being easy to deal with because of the way that your attitude will come across. The people pleasing is a manipulative thing. And that may be hard to hear, but it is manipulation because you're trying to get love by you're trying to figure out how can I feel loved? And instead of actually doing it from a place of, oh my God, I'm just gonna like give you all this stuff because you're so cool and you deserve it. And like I want to see you have so much joy and laughter and you just go enjoy that. If you're doing it from that kind of a state, perfect. But if you're doing it because you're trying to feel like someone loves you and you're not trying to feel alone and you're trying to feel like you belong somewhere, and so you're going to do all these other things, you think that that's the equation, that people pleasing, it leads to a lot of sabotaging, manipulative, passive aggressive things whenever you don't get that people pleasing result back that you're hoping for, right? And so it's a repelling thing. Okay, so let's transition into the insecure man, the non-confident man. I talked to women. I asked them, what are the biggest things that you don't like about that's repelling, I guess, for a man's essence, whenever they are bringing what behaviors, what are you seeing? And aggressive behavior was the first one. That makes complete sense. Women's base thing is in all life, in all walks of life, is to feel safe. So when a man is aggressive, Yeah, that's not something that is going to be, of course, that's going to be repelling, right? And when a man resorts to aggression, and I don't mean like just because a man gets a little, men need to have this warrior-esque. I need to like point this out, like having being warrior-like and strong, and knowing that you can turn on the switch of the warrior if you need to. Men need to maintain that, but they also need to have control over it. And so, and have that responsibility of when to turn that on and when it's appropriate and when it's not. And in the space of a relationship, if it's turned on in certain times and ways and the way it's turned on, if it's turned on towards her, resorting to aggression to mask, your insecurities it's something that women can see through attempting to dominate her the environment to feel superior and make her feel like 2 inches tall and little because you are insecure about how to make this work. And so you're just going to throw everything else out on how to actually strategically work through things in a way. And so you get frustrated. And then that if that comes across as aggression and control and domineering, you're going to basically want to make her feel very small. And that when that's happening, then women are like, yeah, that is not a confident man. That's actually confident in being a man in the ways that women really desire and are lure and magnetic to. Okay. Emotional suppression when a man is emotionally suppressing himself, this is not just, I'm going to take this off stage and process it later. It's, I'm going to avoid all vulnerability. I'm going to avoid all things that might make me look quote unquote emotional. So avoiding expressing vulnerability is something that was repelling to women. And that's because if you go through the process and you know what attracts a woman, how does a woman feel loved? Well, one of the secrets of that is a woman wants to be under the shield of a man and he trusts her enough to be able to see who he truly is. And so if he's hiding, pieces of him, she can't connect to that. And women are all about feeling connected. And if you're doing things that are going to keep her locked out for fear of being judged, for feeling weak or being weak, then that's repelling to a woman, right? Fear of intimacy is kind of same sort of vein of this. So, struggling to form those deep connections, basically, for fearing to expose your inadequacies. It's not just you feeling weak, it's also I have these inadequacies and I don't want her to see that. So I don't want to get closer because I don't want her to see that. Women are not as judgmental in some of these ways as we can. Sometimes they can be. I absolutely, women mishandle this all the time. And I wish that we really leveled that up and we really went away from that. But overall, whenever I see someone in my life that I truly love and they are struggling and they have inadequacies, I don't judge them for being weak or that inadequacy. I want to hold that man. I want to make sure that he's feeling like it's fine that he's in this moment. There's no judgment and it's something that we can support you through. And then until you just rise back and just start, kicking ass again. But when a man is fearing that intimacy, that piece of there, it's definitely repelling to women because we want to, our whole purpose is to nurture. And if you don't allow us to nurture, that's repelling. Okay, overcompensation was also on the list. So overly boasting about achievements and possessions, we're masking feelings of inferiority. That's something that was repelling. Jealousy is also on a woman's list. Perfectionism was also on the list for women. And then externalizing blame came up, where men that feel inadequate in themselves, there's failures that they can't seem to make something work it causes this an external shifting of blame. And so it's like, I'm not the one that's the problem, you're the problem, or the job's the problem, or the environment's the problem. It's avoiding all responsibility to protect his ego, and so those kind of things are rooted in insecurity. All right. So now that we poked at that horrible list, we want to talk about the good things. What are the alluring, confident things that are magnetic? What are the things that are magnetic to a man? What is attractive? And this is just a small list. There's going to be other things, especially, woman to woman and man to man, that makes your little adorable quirks and things. Those kind of stuff is going to be to each their own. But overall, when we're talking about what makes somebody confident, true confidence and being comfortable with yourself has an energy. It is calming, it's magnetic, and it's undeniably sexy. And both men and women are drawn to that kind of confidence. Doesn't make just you feel amazing, it makes them feel amazing too. And so an alluring woman who magnetizes a man who's confident and grounded in herself, she has unwavering self-assurance. She can move with grace, and that kind of speaks volume. The way that she moves her body, she's sure of herself. It's not this, I'm covering myself up. Like this was me a long time ago. Like I would wear clothes and I would always like adjust my clothes all the time to cover myself, cover myself, cover myself. Whenever I completely changed my life, now I move in a completely different way. And that does show something very, very different about me. And so this is a quality that we may not recognize, that if we are not comfortable in the skin that we're in, that is a problem. And so whenever we have that self-assurance and we're proud of that, we're moving with this grace, we're moving with this comfort, then that's very, very alluring. And then another thing is, when we're very authentic and genuine. So basically not being afraid to speak up and be heard. One of the things that it's commonly that I hear sometimes is, you speak your mind and you're not afraid to say the thing. And I've actually had a lot of people tell me that they really admire that. The way that we express ourselves, that is where we need to do some of the tweaks. But being authentic in yourself, that's actually very valued and very sexy. And that's something that is alluring because that genuine nature, it captivates. It makes people feel like you believe in something and you're not just fumes and wispy, misty things, right? Your true self speaks without apology, right? There is a subtle error, and with that, sometimes even though you're speaking your presence, we have a subtle air of mystery around us too, and that is inviting and intriguing and fascinating, and it causes them to want to lean in and look deeper, look closer. Another thing on the list was empathetic connection, which makes sense, right? Like women are geared to connect. And so when we do it with empathy, that ability to deeply understand what our dudes are going through and people in life, it fosters this profound bond. And that makes your presence irresistible because empathy is like a superpower anymore. And so whenever you're displaying empathy in connection, it is very alluring to a man because he wants to feel like he doesn't have to battle and always fight. And so if she's showing empathy and connection, he can relax. And a man that's in a relaxed mode can be in a peaceful mode. And a man that's in a peaceful mode, he's going to want more of that Kool-Aid. And so that is very appealing. That's very magnetic. A woman that has a passionate pursuit came up. So I called it passionate pursuit because this actually came up quite a bit of like, it's not necessarily the career woman, but there is something about it. Like guys don't really care about the career so for a woman, they don't really care about that. They don't care about your how good of a job. They don't care if you do this job, or this job. That's not what's impressive. The thing that's alluring within that is the passionate pursuit of it. How dedicated she is. She's igniting this inspiring magnetic energy. And so because she just plays in this space and she really throws her whole life and delightment within this pursuit, that is what's magnetic. That is what that passion is what's actually magnetic there. Now, wit came up a lot, which is interesting because actually it was an interesting thing. This is something that's almost like I almost felt like when I was talking to men that this is almost like the unicorn amongst women. I don't know that that's actually true because I know a lot of women that have great wit, but are we showing that to our guys? Do we have confidence to be witty around our men? And so I think that maybe women may not just be comfortable with it or they just haven't developed it. When you are comfortable in yourself and grounded in yourself, you have a playful wit, you have a sharper intellect with humor, and you can create really engaging and alluring dynamics in conversation. And that is something that men are going to lean into and want to like have more and more of. Right. It makes the conversation not just the checklist items of like boring conversation. It makes it very engaging. And that engaging is refreshing. And that refreshing is what they're after. And then a woman that is very sensually aware. I really loved this because this is the one that I really love to lean into, not because I'm trying to overcompensate for it, but whenever you're really touched with your femininity, you are aware of the senses around you. And what does that mean? Like we're all human and alive. Of course, we have senses. Yeah, but like a woman that really is slowing down and enjoying and enriching the environment, she's enjoying those senses, which means when a woman is enjoying something, what happens? Everybody's brains went somewhere, I hope. And I hope that gave you a little smile. So the sensual awareness, when a woman is enjoying something, she's giggling, she's laughing, she's got a big smile. She could be moaning, she could be doing like little purrs, she could be doing a giddy little clap. There is a comfortableness in her own skin that exudes strength and elegance. That sensual awareness of comfort is what's so magnetic because she's just emitting life and emitting beauty. And you are a bright light in the room, and that is what brings people in, and they can't look away from you. You're enchanting those around you. And so this is actually when women are silly. This is actually whenever men are not comfortable in their own masculinity, they actually squash this. I just want to like side note this is this I've had it happen to me many times, and I know almost every woman I've talked to, when women are silly, a guy that doesn't is in a he's in a bad moment or he doesn't recognize that he's doing this will squash that silliness because it's maybe not as in the state he's in, or he doesn't respect it, or he doesn't know it's linked to her femininity. And so, guys, just be very, very careful that you're not squashing her sensual awareness and you're not squashing this silliness because you're actually magnetized to that. And so, if you're telling her that that's dumb, that's stupid, and you know that why are you making such a big deal about it? She's not. She's just being sensually aware and she's enjoying the moment. And so, let her encourage women to live in the moment. The more in the moment women are in, the more they nurture the moment. And so, if you want her to nurture you, make sure that you're protecting that because that's something that men really, really love. And sometimes don't realize how much they squash that out of women. Got squashed out of me until I became really confident and comfortable in myself. And then I'm like, if a guy doesn't like this, like I've had even to this day, like I have guys that will accidentally say things that they don't realize are trying to squash my sensual awareness. Even if I'm crying, I am I'm feeling so deeply about something that it's coming out in emotion, and that is how we connect to this thing. And so being aware of that is a very that connection is so part of femininity, and that femininity is what you're attracted to. So just be careful that you're understanding that her a sensual awareness is may come out in a lot of emotion, right? So, and it could be all of those things. Radiant positivity and independent spirit came out as well, as far as on the list. Okay, so when we look at the magnetic man, the alluring magnetic man that is super ultra sexy, like what is he admitting? Now let's turn this to the guys, which I'm gonna love because I'm gonna have things in my brain. So you might see that. But the commanding presence was the first thing. Like when I'm like, oh, a confident man is a sexy man, like, oh when I see a confidence in a man, a commanding presence where he's really owning the room, but he's not doing it in an over aggressive or attention-seeking way. It is undeniably attractive. And what it is it's this calming pull of gravity, I would say. And that commanding presence is like he's not reacting to the world. He doesn't give a shit. The world reacts to him. Like he's not going to be flighty and reactionary. A man that's super hyper reactionary, it's not that attractive. We want to know that you're grounded. And if you're grounded, you're not going to be extra reactionary to things. Genuine charisma. So whenever a guy has it makes others feel valued and respected, and he's got this charisma about him that's kind of charming. He's approachable, he's safe, and those are going to make others feel respected, and that's going to make people feel drawn to him and valued and a part of that he's allowing people to approach him. And so your approachability, your charisma, it is something that's magnetic, right? One of the things that came up was a deep voice resonance. It's not like you have to have this all the time, but I will be brave and say I love a baritone. Deep voice resonance, rich, when they're really rich. I was giggling about this because it was on my list as well. It signals strength and confidence, but there's something very earthy and very rugged about that that's just like it kind of makes you want to melt and just surrender. So there's some tips for you dudes. The more deep resonance you have in certain moments, or if you do that like kind of groan and grumble and you don't say a word but you're just kind of making those growls, those kind of things, like that is delicious. I love that. So now there's another list here for like purpose. Purpose is so awesome with when it comes to men because men are, a woman wants to be around a guy that is going somewhere that it doesn't matter where he's going, but he has a purpose. He's making shit happen. He's got a direction. He's not just, I don't know what I'm doing. That is not safe for a woman. And so a man that has driven ambition, he's dedicated, he's got goals, he's showcasing passion. That is both inspiring and captivating, and it makes her feel safe. This guy is strong. He can deal with a lot. I want to be next to him. That is magnetic for a woman, right? Emotional intelligence had to hit the list. His ability to navigate emotions with empathy, it fosters deep connections because he's available to actually stay in discomfort of like, she's having a lot of emotions right now. I'm not going to run from this. I'm not going to pity her. I'm not going to try to rescue her. I'm just going to be intelligent and stuff to understand how to navigate this with her, right? And so that's very, very that's what women are after is a man that has emotional intelligence. If she can work with a little bit of that, then they can do amazing things together. They can really inspire one another. But he has to be emotionally intelligent. He can't be, emotions make you weak. He has to be in touch with his emotions and not in touch with his emotions by being emotional. Women do not want, on the list should have been a man that's emotional. Like a man that is over extra emotional and extra lovey is repelling. It really is because it's not exuding strength per se and vulnerability in the right ways if it's overdone. And so emotional intelligence has nothing to do with making a man emotional. It means he's able to navigate and understand what those emotions, the depth of people, and he's able to reach for empathy and compassion because he understands the emotion. That's it. It doesn't mean to make him emotional. So there's a really big difference there. And so the magnetic man has emotional intelligence because he can foster this connection because he understands it and he's not going to be afraid of it. And he's not afraid to show his emotions as well, right? A man that takes that decisive action. We kind of talked about that driven ambition. So that's part of this as well. Like when a man just decides, nope, this is what we're doing, and he just makes a decision, oh, oh, that is profoundly attractive. Like if a man that's indecisive is not attractive. Like we want this. It doesn't mean he has to make all of the decisions, by the way. Like sometimes you can still lead and you can lead her to decisions and so she can make her own decisions and stuff. So you don't have to choose everything and make everything. But when a man with a plan is a man that's very profoundly attractive, right? Make bold decisions. The bold piece is actually important. You don't have to make bold decisions all the time, but when it matters and there you can see that she's having an indecisive moment, you need to step in with some bold decision. It reflects your confidence about you having a plan, and that makes her relax. And when she relaxes, she can tap into that femininity, and that is something that is attractive, right? So another thing that hit the list was the protective instincts. Oh yes, absolutely. We little women, we want to feel safe and we want to be under your protective guide, and we want to have that safety and that security, and that enhances your appeal whenever you have a protective instinct over a woman. That is very sexy. Okay. Another bit is the humor. So we talked about wit when it comes to like playful wit with women. A humorous confidence in men is also very, very approachable. It showcases that you're self-assured, right? Your engaging personality. You want to make others laugh and make others feel comfortable and be joyful. One of the things that trap men, I think, is they are too serious, too much. I have had this in the past in my life, and the seriousness was so heavy that I couldn't pull him out of that. I couldn't do much about it. And it was like, gosh, why is everything so anxious and everything is so stressful and everything is so burdensome? Like, I know that the world sucks, but the more internalizing the more confident you are in yourself, the less you let that bother you externally. And your ability to laugh and make others laugh is an important, sexy thing that makes you magnetic because it shows that you're not reacting to the world. The world is reacting to you, right? If you're stroll stress, a ball of like all of these things, and we have to worry about all this stuff all of the time, that's not showing that you're confident, right? It doesn't mean that you don't carry the same burden, but how you look at those matters. And so if you can be humorous, that is very sexy, right? Your physical presence, that came up in women, exuding that masculinity. And the physical presence doesn't mean the six pack. This actually came from more like, how are you carrying your body? Are you fidgeting? Are you moving around and jolting your eyes around a lot? Are you unsure and you're just like, I don't know, I don't know. It says that a strong, grounded demeanor. That is sexy. It exudes this really strong masculine presence and it makes a woman feel reassured and it's really enticing. And she's like, oh, this is a strong man. Again, why is strength sexy? Because it makes women feel safe. So if you make a woman feel safe, she's going to be magnetized to you, right? And so your physical presence matters. And then the last things on the list was integrity and honesty. When a man is living out of his integrity and he's trying to be a good man, no matter the hardships that are there, he's trying to make the right decisions. It doesn't mean he can't make mistakes, and not at all. You can make all the mistakes that you want, but you're owning that. You're taking responsibility. You don't have this ego. There's an integrity that's behind all of that wisdom, that commitment to your values and staying truthful in that. It creates this very deep magnetic trust. And so I just wanted you to recognize that there is a lot to when it comes to confidence. And this might have been an overwhelming thing. I hope not. But it does take time. Give yourself time. And it's okay for you to analyze things and to come back new every single time. The energy with which you do this, is this a big experiment to you, or is it too scary to even look at? There's a huge difference there. And so we just want to make sure that we're practicing this a little at a time. We're mastering these variables of relationships enough that you can trust yourself in situations because you've built that neural network. The net of every time you have an experience, your brain makes a little point of knowledge and wisdom. And the more of those points you have, it creates a net. And the bigger the net, the more masterful you get. So your subconscious brain will have the map of what to do. It's going to store that for you when it needs to be called up. And that's where that calmness comes from, is you just know subconsciously you got this because you've built enough muscle memory in these practices that eventually you just take these rides with ease, not anxiety. And so one of my favorite sayings is just keep going. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Relationship Evolutions, Bridging the Divide. If today's episode resonated with you, I invite you to keep listening, keep evolving, and keep growing. There are deeper conversations coming, and we want to connect more and more together. And if you want a more intimate connection with our community, you can join us at our Facebook group. It's called Evolution Relationship Group. Inside of the group, I host monthly live events where people are interactive and we tackle topics that matter the most to you, more in-depth discussions that are tailored around what you care about the most. Remember, this journey is about a transformative relationship, and that relationship first starts with you. So let's take that on and get to work. See you guys.